I'll admit, it's going to be hard to discuss Mass Effect, an original sci-fi IP developed by BioWare, hot off developing hits based on other licenses, in this case Star Wars when we're considering sci-fi, or science fantasy, but whatever. Anyway, I've been wanting to talk Mass Effect on this channel for quite a while, and ever since I played the 360 original several years after their original releases, BioWare has since remastered the original trilogy for Gen 8 and Gen 9 consoles and PC, which is what I will heavily feature in this video. But remaster or not, how does the first in BioWare's sci-fi epic fare? Let's find out. The story of Mass Effect centers around Commander Shepard, whom, along with their crew along the ship the SSV Normandy, investigate an attack on the human colony Eden Prime, which is coordinated by a Turian named Saren. While Shepard investigates Eden Prime, they notice a particular beacon, giving them horrible images that explain a past and even a potential future. Shepard then works to prove that Saren, part of an elite group called the Spectres, is a traitor, and after getting sworn in as a Spectre themselves, is set off on an adventure across space to stop the traitor. Like in my Metroid Prime review, it's perhaps an injustice to simplify a story as grand as Mass Effect, as there is so much lore among data files, and even among potential squad mates you find, be it with humans such as Caden Alenko and Ashley Williams. Yeah, I know. To aliens like Rex, who is part of the Krogan warrior race, Tali, the nomadic Quarian, Liara, who is part of the monogendered and feminine Asari, and Garrus, who like Saren is a Turian, but Garrus wants nothing to do with them after his actions. On to the gameplay, and we're going to be in this for a while. Mass Effect is, while an RPG, is also hybrid with a third-person shooter. You gain experience with not just the amount of action you survive, you also gain it from completing many quests. Each level you gain gives you some perk points for your characters and their unique abilities, which is all class dependent. Out of the 6 classes to choose, I choose the Vanguard for my Shepard, as it gives me the ability of not only some gunplay, but for biotics, which can give me the ability to throw or push people using a psychic-like power. But what can I say? Being spoiled by watching the Jedi and Sith in Star Wars makes me appreciate a weapon's hidden power balance. Some of the others include something as basic as Soldier, where gunplay is your expertise and can use all types of guns, while some classes could not. At least in the 360 original, this seems to have been tweaked in the Legendary Edition. And I got to be honest, the gunplay isn't great no matter which version you play. While manageable to beat the game with, I never feel some sort of satisfaction killing most targets beyond gaining a level. But there is more gameplay to discuss. Mass Effect gives some opportunities to explore the galaxy, and while not every planet can be visited, for the ones that are, it is such a trip to do. To explore barely inhabited planets with all its own atmospheric settings? Unfortunately, that too is hit with some quirks. Mainly driving the Mako rover. It uses the Halo-style controls where you only need to accelerate and steer with the analog sticks, while the other buttons are for combat, but it's somehow even worse. And again, combat inside the Mako isn't great either. Similar deal with the regular combat, the gunplay doesn't feel great. But in the Legendary Edition, they did make it a bit more bearable. While you're still driving, you can finally repair your vehicle without the need to go to a safe distance and repair your craft as it was in the 360 original. Still, all in all, I'd rather pilot the Landmaster, both on rails and open level. In between these, there are a few minigames to process through, especially if you're unlocking some doors or chests. There is one sequence where you must hit the corresponding button as indicated on the screen, kinda like a game of Simon. Another is a memory-like game where you must figure out the command codes by remembering the right sequence under a short amount of time. The latter in particular is a tricky one, as, while perhaps more tense, it's kinda difficult to tell your progress, and that is where Legendary Edition comes in, and where it gives you graphics that give you clues on how well you're doing. But where Mass Effect shines, as it should the most, is the RPG aspects of the gameplay, be it in the main campaign and even the side quests. Besides the leveling, it's highly custom on how you, the player, see Shepard with the Paragon Renegade system. Me, though I lean Paragon, I'm never that pure, as Renegade options sometimes have more badass moments, be it in the script or even actions that seem to make more sense in context. Having the latter more expanded on in the sequels, which I hope to cover later. The choices Shepard makes can also affect your crew in some way. Like for Garrus, there is a side quest you can unlock and how you deal with that. For Rex, there is a vital story moment that can either continue your alliance with him or end it. For Caden, Ashley, or Liara, It's a potential romance with either character. I chose Liara for my femshep. The choices that put Fox News and the Singaporean government in a tizzy. But it's worthy of note that not all romance options are compatible with any version of Shepard. Although, with Caden and Ashley, there is another, more plot-heavy choice. Eventually, there will be a moment where you have to choose who to leave behind. My choice was that Caden survives, because Ashley, well...
I can't tell the aliens from the animals.
Yeah, she's gone. But it's all the choices that we make and live with that make Mass Effect a major standout, especially when we carry that save on to other games. Now moving on to the visuals, and the 360 version was always kind of blurry to me even back then. And it's still noticeable when playing the 360 version backwards compatible on Xbox One and the Xbox One X. Made worse when you would load the game, it runs into some texture rendering issues that would last for quite a few seconds. But I noticed it's not as long on the latter especially. And sadly, you can still catch some of those texture rendering issues on the Legendary Edition, but again, texted on the Xbox One X, so maybe it's not as notable as on the series? As of this time, I cannot tell you. That said, the version on the Legendary Edition is obviously better looking. Cleaned up to look a little more like the later games in this series. They both share some pretty inconsistent frame rates, sadly. On to the soundtrack, and while you do have an epic sounding score from 4 composers consisting of Jack Wall, Richard Jakes, Sam Hulick, and David Cates, it's the voice cast that really shine. You got a few celebrities in there, and we could have the long running debate on whether or not live actors or other celebs should be doing voice gigs, which only got worse after the 2023 Mario movie. But I can't imagine any other voices for David Anderson or Jeff Joker Moreau, who were voiced respectively by Keith David and Seth Green.
We don't know what information was stored in that beacon. Lost Prothean technology, blueprints for some ancient weapon of mass destruction, whatever it was. Saren took it.
You remember to zip up your jumpsuit on the way out of the bathroom? That's good. I just jumped us halfway across the galaxy and hit a target the size of a pinhead, so that's incredible.
You even have Lance Henriksen as the then faithless Admiral Hackett giving you quests, whose raspy voice gives the perfect touch of an old but skilled official.
She proved herself during the Blitz, held off enemy forces on the ground until reinforcements arrived.
Otherwise, there are some talented voice actors in there too, just from Shepard alone between Mark Meer and of course Jennifer Hale.
The Council can kiss my ass. I won't let them blame me for losing the beacon. I didn't do anything wrong.
The Council can kiss my ass. I won't let them blame me for losing the beacon. I didn't do anything wrong.
Fittingly, this isn't the first time Hale voiced my favorite version of a playable character that can be a different gender, depending on the player.
How do I know you won't betray me again? You're always trying to beat me! How do I know this isn't just another trick?
One more thing of note is that the Legendary Edition contains one of 2 DLC, known as Bring Down the Sky, where it involves a group of terrorists threatening a human operation involving harvesting from a meteor. It was also featured on some Xbox 360 editions containing a bonus DVD. Sadly, the other DLC, Pinnacle Station, was not included due to lost source code, which, for preservationist reasons, really bites. But overall, for the start of what would become a sci-fi epic, the original Mass Effect is a fantastic space romp no matter which version you play. But I won't blame anyone if having all 3 games in 1 or 2 discs plus improvements lean towards getting the Legendary Edition.